Hey everyone, it's Duke, founder of the Lopez Academy. Welcome to the first video in the All Things Collection View course. In this video, I want to show you how to set up the UI Collection View controller, how you can create a grid of 3 items per row cells, okay? And here's how the app will look like after this video. And it doesn't look really much over here, but after this, behind the scene, there are a lot of coding and configurations that I want to show you. So all we need to do in this video is just create a grid of cells, 3 items per row, okay? And we can scroll it like that. Alright, so before jumping into the project, I want you first download the starter project right down below. And second, I want to remind you that from the last video, there are 3 things you need to remember about Collection View. First, it has a prototype cell, and it has a delegate, it has a data source, okay, a prototype cell and a data source. The second is that it has a delegate. So these 2 things is very much like a table view. But the last thing is that it has a layout object. This layout object, it provides the cell, the prototype cell, some of the attributes it needs. The Collection View controller needs to lay out these cells, and we will show you each of these along the way. So let's download the starter project and get started. Alright, here I am at the starter project, and let me walk you through some of the classes, some of the things that are already in this project, right? So we just have normal view controller and app delegates like any project, any template project. But we have 2 model classes that I wrote for you. The first one is a publisher. A publisher is the class that models that represents a publisher, a news publisher. Let's say a New York Times. The New York Times has the title, which is a string of New York Times. URL is nytimes.com, and it has an image inside this assets.ac and the sections, usually we have 4 sections: my favorite, technology, travel, and technology or something, okay? And we have the publishers, and right down below you see that we have sections is my favorite, politics, travel, and technology, okay? And inside this publishers class are all the things we need to use an instance of this publishers as our data source. And I will introduce you to some of those methods as we further along this course, okay? Right, so that is publishers. And inside the assets, we have all the images of the publishers. Cool. Okay, so now let's jump into main.storyboard, and then we will start designing the UI. First, we don't actually need this view controller, so I will delete that and go over the object palette and search for a collection view controller. Here it is, and drag it like that. Now, a collection view controller has its view to be the collection view. There we go, right? And when you see that this collection view has the root view to be the collection view, and when you expand that, each of inside the view will have a prototype cell, a collection view cell. Okay, so now when I right click into this collection view, and you see that the data source and delegate outlets are already connected to the collection view controller. So if you drag out a collection view, just a collection view, into a view controller, then you have to do this data source and delegates yourself. If we do it with a collection view controller, then Xcode will do it for us. Okay, so we have a data source, the delegates, and the third thing is a collection view flow layout. This is the layout object. Okay, it is the thing that gives each of this prototype cell some of the attributes that just decide which way we should lay out that cell. We can do it into like a grid, or we can do it crazy thing like the Apple Music app with the bubble circle that we can floating around. Okay, so now let's configure this view controller. Let's embed this collection view controller inside a navigation controller by going over editor, and then we will embed in a navigation controller. Okay, and also make this navigation controller to be the initial view controller. And then we'll have that, okay? And this, by default, this prototype cell, prototype item, it's a little bit too small. So let's make it bigger. You can just click into this collection view, go over the size inspector. Here it is. All right. What we want to do is the size of the cell, just on the storyboard, to be 200 pixels, 200 points, just so it's large enough for it to design the prototype cell. And later on, I will show you how to make this cell dynamic, the size of the cell to be dynamic. Because if we are working on a very small iPhone, then this cell should be very small, about 1/3 of the size of the screen. If we are working on a large iPhone, then the size of the cell should resize it, okay? And also, maybe you want to do the mean spacing for the cells and for the lines to be 8, okay? And for the lines is also 8, okay? For the sections insets, we want the top to be 8, the bottom to be 8, okay? And you see that the top and bottom will determine each of these sections, each of the rows, okay? It has the spacing between the rows, and the left also 8. And the minute I do the left to be 8, then this edge will have 8 spacing. Then it moves like that, and also make it the right like this to be 8. Okay, you don't see it right now, but later on when we run on the project, you will see that very clearly. And that should be good for our size inspector. Now next, we'll have to create a class. This class is a collection view, is a subclass of UICollectionViewController. So let's create a very simple Swift class so that I can show you everything that from scratch. Okay, you can do Cocoa Touch class and then subclass UICollectionViewController to have some of the code that Apple written for you. But let's create the Swift class, okay? And for this one, we will call that Publishers Collectionview Controller, and then we'll create and place it right here. All right, and you can just delete this view controller. And by default, it's import foundation. Foundation is the foundationals of iOS, of Swift, but we want it to be import UIKit, and UIKit is already import foundation, okay? So now first, we want to declare a class, and that class is Publishers View Controller, Publishers Collection View Controller. So class, and we'll have Publishers Collection View Controller, and this will subclass UI Collection View Controller. Alright, so first we want to have something to declare it as a data source for our project. So I will have a data source over here, and this data source is simply some publishers, okay? And I will use the initializer of the publishers class just like this, and with this data source will do all the thing we need to do to just have tons of publishers inside this. Okay, next I want to have some of the data source methods. So let's have a mark over here. And this mark is a UI collection view data source. What it does is there are 3 methods we will need to implement. The first one is a number of sections in collection view. So this number of sections in collection view, it will show how many sections in the data source that we will want to represent in this collection view. The second method we want to implement or override is the number of items in sections. So that is that for the number of items in sections. And now this method will tell the collection view that how many items, how many cells inside one section at this specific sections. Okay, and then we'll implement that. The last thing we want to implement is the cell for item at index path. Alright, so we have three classes, three methods that we need to implement. The first one, number of sections in collection view. Right now in this first video, let's just return 1. Okay, return 1. How about the number of items in sections? The number of items in section, let's return the number of publishers from the publishers data source over here. So that we have the number of publishers. Now let's work on this cell for item at index path. This cell for item index path, first we'll need to dequeue a reusable cell. Now this dequeue a reusable cell is exactly the prototype cell that we just changed the size of that. Okay, so let's do that. So we'll have the key reusable cell with identifier, and the identifier, let's say we want to make a struct over here. Okay, struct or private struct storyboard, and this storyboard will have let static let So we'll have the storyboard and cell identifier to be publisher cell. And now let's assign this identifier to this cell. Okay, I will click to this cell and go over the attribute inspector and make the identifier to be publisher cell. And how about we will do real quick just to have an image over here, UI image, an image view, and then so we will see that later on when we tons of cells, we want to see those images on the cell. And let's apply auto layout, uncheck the constraint to margins, and make these to be 0. Okay, and then we'll update the frames. Alright, then we'll have very nice image. And let's change this image to be something like MIT. Okay, and then aspect fill to be the mode of the view. So this one is aspect fill. Cool. Let's go back to the publisher's collection view controller, and now we have the cell identifier, and we just have to pass in storyboard dot cell identifier. And for the index path, we will just have to pass in the index path. Okay, and we will cast this one as UI collection view cell. And right now we can just return the cell. Okay, we'll just return the cell as a UI collection view cell. And in the next video, I will show you how you can customize this UI collection view cell by first creating a subclass of that, and then we will customize this cell to have very nice effect. Cool. And then believe it or not, that should be good for us to go. So now let's run this project to see how it looks like. Alright, so here's the project. It's black and we have the navigation bar. So clearly we do something wrong, or we didn't do anything like to the point. So let's cancel that and go to the main.storyboard. What we didn't do is assign this collection view controller to be a publisher's collection view controller. So let's do that. So we have this is a subclass, a custom class of publisher's collection view controller. Okay. And then I want you to select this collection view and go over the attribute inspector and scroll down below into the view over here and make sure that the background to be white color. Okay, so we want it to be white, not black like this. And let's run this. All right, so we see tons of cells, and that's a good thing, all right? So we tons of those, but now we don't want it to be just a straight rows like this. It looks terrible. What we want to do now is we want to resize the cell of this to be 3 rows, 3 items per row, and with tons of rows. Okay, so now I will show you how you can dynamically resize the cell. So let's go with the publisher's collection view. Cancel that. And move it up here. I want to declare some of the properties so that you can see that we have some of the adjustment into the cell. Okay. First, I want to have the left and right paddings. Left and right paddings equals, and this is a CG float, and that is equals 8.0. Now, why is it 8.0? Now let's look at this. Let's look at this home screen to be an example. The left and right padding is exactly this one and this one. So what we want to do is the sum of the left padding and right padding is just 8 points. Okay, and so let the number of items per row, it is a CG float, and we want it to be 3.0. So we just want to have 3 items per row. And how about let's make all of these properties to be private. We don't want other class to set us. So let's make it private. And also another one called high adjustment. Now why is it 30.0? Now let me introduce you to, let me show you the code for that first, and then we'll explain each of these along the way. First, let's create a view controller for this one. A view did load method. So let's have a mark over here, and this mark is UI view controller lifecycle. Okay, and for this one, we'll have a view did load. Support.viewDidLoad. Okay. First, I want to have a variable, a constant, and that is the width of the cell. So for the width of this cell, we want just first get the width of the frame of the collection view. Okay, what we do is we get the width of this frame, of the collection view, and then we'll minus the left and right padding, minus this guy and this guy. Okay, and then we will divide it by the number of items per row. So we want to have 3. Okay. And then that is number of items per row. Next, let's have a layout object. Grabs an instance of that layout object of this collection view controller, because we want to change the size of the item of this collection view, and the layout object allows us to do that. So let's do that. So that is that. We have the layout. We do add collection view view layout, which is a property of the collection view, and we cast it as a UI collection view flow layout. And now from this layout, let's change the size of these items, the size of the item, and we can access the item size of the layout. Okay. So what I just did is that I get the item size of this layout and it is a CG size, so we'll have to use CG size make. And the width is width, okay, this width. And the height is width plus height adjustment. What it does is we want it to be the height to be a bit longer than the width, okay? So we want to have the height adjustment longer than 30 points. So it's just like that. And let's run this project to see how it looks like. Alright, so you see that this one, it does have more cells. But the problem is that there is something wrong about this. There's something more about the size of the cell so that it doesn't scale like 3 rows. So what we do is we want to change this one to be something different so that we have 3 rows, 3 items per row. So all we have to do now is just change the left and right paddings of this one. Maybe something like 32, okay, because 8 is too small. So the width of this one will be minus 32 and then divided by 3. So let's run this again. Alright, so we have a grid of cells. Very nice. Cool, right? So next, what I want to challenge you in this video is that I want to challenge you to create a detailed view for this collection view. Okay, so go to the main.storyboard and just create a detailed view, a view controller, and that just have one single UI image view. And I want you to be somehow transition from this collection view, this master view, to the detail view. And then all you need to do is just do that, and then maybe you want to show an image or so. Okay, and I see you in the next video, in which we will learn how to create a collection view cell, a custom collection view cell, and work on the challenge. Good luck. Hey guys, it's Duke. Did you like this tutorial? If you did, you can do 2 things now to continue your journey. First, you can subscribe to my channel right here, which I hope you will, so that I can continue sending you more tutorials on a weekly basis. And second, you can join Developers Academy today, start learning iOS development, and get your first 2 weeks free by clicking the link on the screen right now. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until next time, go out there, learn new things, craft your ideas, and contribute to the world.